Hey everybody, and welcome to another AJSKYMAN Productions video tutorial. I know I've done an AI flight planner video in the past, but the latest version came out and has enough differences that I thought I should make a video so that the users of the old version can use this one with a minimal learning curve, and also so that all the new users out there can jump right into this new version. So the first thing you want to do is go to this website here. On the left hand side of that web page, you'll have a download link. Go ahead, download that to a new folder, extract it, and run the executable. I would recommend running it as administrator. That'll prevent a lot of errors from occurring. If you don't have a run as administrator option, it means your computer probably does that by default and you won't have to worry about that. But make sure you do run it as administrator if you do encounter any issues, and that should solve your problem. Alright, so once you have run the software, you're going to have this window right here, and I guess you could call this kind of like the home screen for the software. It's kind of a place to, like right here, you could open up existing flight plan files that you have, stuff like that. But we want to make our own. So first, make sure you have the correct version of Flight Simulator selected right here, and then what you're going to want to do is go to Flight Plans, Open FP Editor. And now what this is going to do is essentially it's going to open up the old AI Flight Planner window. It's almost exactly the same. The only difference is there's a couple new menu items. So the first thing you're going to notice is you have no aircraft to choose from if you want to make a new flight plan. So we're going to go to Aircraft, Bulk Add Aircraft to List. That'll give you this big window here. Make sure you have the correct version of Flight Simulator selected again. If for some reason it doesn't work when you hit scan folders, even if you have the correct version selected, go ahead and check the selected bubble here and find the folder manually. If you still get an error after there or you can't navigate to that folder, once again make sure you are running the software as administrator, and that should probably fix the issue. So once you have all your planes scanned in, what you're going to want to do is hit Use All. You're going to get this dialog box here. It says that your aircraft list has been updated, and now you'll see that all the planes are ready to be used. So what we're going to do now is hit Start New FP for Start New Flight Plan, and now we're ready to get started. So you can select your aircraft. Let's do an Airbus A321. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to have this REG box here. Now this is when you right click on the screen of Flight Simulator and you see all the traffic, it'll say like Boeing 737 or Airbus A321, and then it'll have like a dash and some numbers like this. You can call this whatever you want, so it's easier for your custom flight plans to stick out when you're trying to test them. So for the purpose of this, let's call it test. You can really call it whatever you want. And now we're going to want to select a time. I found that local times works best because you don't have to really calculate the time zones if you use local times. If you do get an error when you're messing with this here, it should only really happen once, but if you like select your time zone and then you click the checkbox and you get an error asking you if you want to like quit or continue, just hit continue. You'll probably have to restart your flight plan, but after that I found that the error really doesn't come up anymore. So we'll just click local times to make it easy for ourselves, and now you get to come down here and you can pick your active level percent. This is a percent of density at which this flight plan will show up in Flight Simulator. So if you want it to show up no matter what your density is, except for 0 of course, make it 1% and your flight plan will always be in Flight Simulator. If you want it to be, only show up if you have your density like above 50%, you put in 50%, which can really help system performance. So the next thing you're going to want to do is choose the time interval at which your flight plan reoccurs. So we're going to say 24 hours, which just means every day. If you were to select week, you could select right down here the specific days of the week. In fact, let me hit IFR. You would be able to click the specific days of the week to have it being a weekly plan, which gives you more time. But the important thing to remember here is that your flight plan always needs to come back to the airport of origin before the time period you've selected is up. So if the plane does not come back to the original airport within a week, then you're going to get an error message about how you can't have it do that. And I mean, in that week's time, you can have it go to hundreds of different airports, but as long as it comes back to the airport of origin before it restarts the flight plan, you should be fine. So for this, we're just going to do 24-hour. Um, you have the selection to make it an IFR or VFR. Since this is going to be a commercial flight, we'll just make it IFR. You have a touch and go landing checkbox to have it just be a touch and go, or to have it perform touch and goes repeatedly until it arrives at the exact time in case it's early. I just leave that unchecked. It doesn't really need to be checked. Now you can choose what you want your flight number to be. I'll just make it whatever. You can just do 123. Now we're gonna have it go from somewhere. So we'll go from Denver, and up here you'll see it adds that to the list. Once you progress to the next box, it knows the time zone and everything for local times. We'll give it a departure time. We'll say this doesn't need to be in military time, so we'll go 0800 for 800 hours or 8 in the morning. Then we'll have it go to KSFO for San Francisco. It realizes that it'll add that to this box up here as well. You'll see it has UTC -8 for the time. It'll give you the estimated time of arrival, and if you say, oh, well, that's only an hour later, well, that's because it did calculate for the fact that San Francisco is an hour behind Colorado. So yeah, it is a 2-hour flight, but it shows it only taking 1 hour because it'll land at that time in California. You don't need to override the estimated time of arrival. That's if for some reason you have something that you know is going to take much longer, because it calculates this off of the cruising speed in your aircraft air file and configuration file. Next, we're going to pick our altitude. It's in thousands, so we'll type in 30 for 30,000. And here's the ATC call sign. And we're going to want it to be called test right here, like we put in up here, so we'll use the REG period button. So now we're all set for this. All we need to do now is hit Save Edits. Now it basically shows what we want it to do. It departs, where it's going to, when it arrives, the flight number, we're not doing a touch and go, the altitude we're going to be at, and then we have the days, which since it's just every 24 hours, it knows every day. So the next thing we want to do is add another leg. Software automatically recognizes that we're going from San Francisco, because that's the last airport that we were at. We still have the same time period, all that. All we need to do now is put in another flight number. You can have it be the same thing, or you can change it. We'll do 321 instead of 123. We're going from San Francisco. Since it arrives at 9:16, you want to give it some time to taxi, because it can take a while. It needs to have enough time to sit at the airport, basically, because if you have it too close to the time it lands at, or if it has delays because it's really heavy in traffic, you're just going to want to give it plenty of room so that it will always have enough time to land, get to the gate, sit for a while, and then taxi out for its departure. So we're just going to have it come right back to the airport we started at, which is Denver. So we'll do KDEN. It's going to calculate our ETA. It does put in a random departure time, and like I said, we're going to want to give it some time, but we don't need that much time. So if it arrives at 9:16, we'll just say at 10 o'clock a.m. it'll be on its way back. Actually, we'll do 10:16, so it has exactly an hour. It should be more than enough time. We don't need to override the ETA, and we'll have it be 30,000 feet coming back again. We still have the name selected for the call sign, and now all we have to do is hit Save Edits. Now that recognizes what we've done. It has when it's going to arrive, the flight number, all that stuff again. So at this point, you can keep adding legs as long as it comes back to the origin airport. And now all we have to do, since we're going to stop here, is just hit Add FP to List. Now that has your flight plan on the list. I'm going to cut the video here because we're going a little bit long. We'll do the saving and compiling part of it in the second part. So thanks for watching, and tune in for part 2.